Collins, Philip Bailey and Easy Lover on BBC Radio London. Time now is 4:19. I'm really chuffed. I've got two guests in this studio. One of them's already so kindly telling the other one, you've got to come closer to the mic. That's right. Don't worry. We'll do it live on radio. Don't worry about it. Now, I'm joined in the studio. I've got Emma Dalmayne, who is the Chief Executive Officer, and Jenny Payne, the Director of Autistic Inclusive Meets. Now, they're a group basically made up of people on the autistic spectrum who run events for people in the autistic community, and they're getting ready for their Christmas fairs. I've got an amazing array, I have to say, of gifts in this studio that we're going to delve into. And basically, the whole idea around these gifts is there's a focus on the sensory, so suitable for people with special educational needs. Emma and Jenny join me now. It's a pleasure to have you both in this studio, Emma, Jenny. Thank you for coming in.
Thank you for inviting us.
Now, firstly, I've got to say, you've brought in quite a fantastic bag of treats. Actually, let's start off, Emma. I've got a little snowman. This has been knitted, is it?
That was knitted by Jenny. How cute is that?
Jenny, I mean, have you made everything in this bag of gifts?
Yeah, I went
Come
through,
closer,
I
there you go.
hyper-focus, so I really get into something and I'll watch YouTube videos and then I'll just... Yeah, it comes in handy.
You're definitely focused because I've got this fantastic... so my daughter loves Peppa Pig. And you've brought in this, I would call it like a stitch display. And what exactly is this? This cross stitch? Can you describe this for me?
It's punch needle. It's done with the needle and you have your thread going through it and you just basically punch through and make your pattern on it.
Well, I have got what essentially is punch needle layout of Peppa Pig, and it's the size of a table mat. How long did this take? It looks brilliant.
Oh, that was done over lockdown.
Wow.
So, yeah, just sat there a couple of hours and a day and done that one.
And then I've also got some fantastic colourful tea coasters as well, which have been knitted, right through to some fantastic Christmas beanies. I mean, there's such an array of beautiful things that you have created. But this is all around sensory, right? So if you are on the autistic spectrum, having something like this beautiful hand-size snowman teddy and being able to hold it, touch the textures is really important.
Yeah, and the scarf comes off, the hat comes off, so you can play, feel, and it's very tactile.
And just talk me through for a moment, Emma, the Autistic Inclusive Meets, the whole premise behind this and why it's really come about.
I think we were very needed. You get big charities like the National Autistic Society, which say that they represent autistic people but aren't actually run by autistic people. Mm-hmm. So we are 5 autistic people on the board, and we do social groups, sensory groups, events, campaigns, protests. We fight for the rights of autistic people. We're very much against abuse, abusive therapies, abusive so-called cures. I've done a lot of work around that and worked with the BBC before on that. So, we were very needed. And the fair came about because of the so-called Autism Awareness Month. We're not cancer, you don't need to be aware of us. We need actually acceptance. Okay. So there needs to be a lot more autistic acceptance and education out there instead of awareness.
It's an interesting, isn't it? Sometimes the power of words and how it can, for some people they can feel included and others can feel excluded just from, as you just said, a word. Like rather than awareness, it should be, inclusion and talking about it. Let me ask you this. Today on the show, I've been talking about bullying. It's anti-bullying Awareness Week. Again, that word comes up of bringing awareness. And I suspect for both of you growing up, that is something you will have experienced or perhaps have even experienced
very
now.
Much so, yeah.
Share that experience with me. What has it been like?
Ooh, I wasn't diagnosed autistic until age 37. So I grew up believing that I'd just been dropped here by the fairies, and that they were going to come back and get me someday because I was so different to any other child or teen or adult that I knew. So at school, I was bullied horrifically, and at age 13, I took an overdose.
Goodness. So
now, if I'd had the support and the inclusion and the education, if I'd have known I was autistic, that's why it's so important for parents to pursue diagnosis and, get some support in place.
Do you find that when you talk about your experiences now, it's more perhaps socially acceptable? You know, in the last 10 years, in the past, when you would talk about autism, it wasn't something that people necessarily, firstly, had an understanding, or secondly, wanted to even acknowledge and talk about in a public space.
I think I'm 46, so we're going back a way.
Yeah.
So the stereotypical view of autism was, you know, a nonverbal communicator rocking in a corner, you know, not participating or being asked to participate or being included in any way.
Right.
So that was the stereotypical view. It wasn't, you know, I don't know, like a standoffish, quiet, bookish sort of, you know, I was always reading books and I didn't really want to be friends with that many people, you know, because what was the point?
and with that in mind, you've obviously taken the experiences that you've been through, and here you are with this organisation, Autistic Inclusive Meets. But also, I've got a couple of books here in front of me, which are by yourself. One is Susie Spins, and the other is It's an Autism Thing, I'll Help You Understand It.
Yeah,
it's clearly what you've been through, you've now put into a way of writing it down to help others. Has this been a process for you? Has this been a personal journey to be able to express what you've been through, but then also put it in book form for other people to read, to understand?
Well, it's interesting because the reason I wrote It's an Autism Thing, I'll Help You Understand It, that was the first one out, was because I stumbled upon a group called CD Autism where they were using chlorine dioxide bleach to cure or purge autism.
Goodness.
So obviously that's not a good thing to do, but a lot of parents were doing it.
Right.
I've worked with Guy Lynn with the BBC London as well to expose a lot of that. So I wrote that book, the first one, because there's so little understanding, and parents, when they hear, you know, your child may have autism, your child, you know, with autism, it sounds like it's an add-on, like you can take it away, you know, and you can't, you are autistic. So I needed to educate and promote in a way where parents would gain some acceptance, not to think that it was an illness or a vaccine injury or, you know, some sort of disease that could be removed with this magical miracle cure. So that's why I wrote that one. Susie Spins was actually my daughter's idea.
Okay.
She said there's not enough stories out there about black autistic females, Mum.
Okay.
And she's right, there's nothing about us. So I did that one with the help of my daughter, who illustrated the whole thing.
I was going to say, because the illustrations are by Raphael Dalmayne, your daughter. Yeah,
that's the old name. Yeah, so it'd be Elle now.
Okay.
Elle Dalmayne.
Oh, okay. She's grown up and it's Elle, is it? Oh,
she's come out as trans. Yeah,
oh,
she's very proud, beautiful. Openly trans. Don't worry, I didn't, you know, throw anyone under the bus there.
No, not at all.
Yeah, no, she's very proud of, you know, she's openly proud of being a trans woman. So yeah, she illustrated that book.
And so with these two books,
teamwork.
I was going to say, with these two books, here you are drawing from your own personal experience as a person of colour. But then also, as you say, both very different, right? Because Susie Spins is very much, if you're in school, if you are studying, you know, you've got a school group, you can actually read this with everyone.
Yeah, it's used in schools.
And that's the whole point of it.
Yeah.
And so when you hear from schools around speaking about this topic, especially to, let's say, primary school children, has this opened up that conversation to have these kind of chats about autism, especially if you're a person of colour? Because clearly, as you say, that there aren't other books out there like this.
No, there's not. It definitely has helped. There's a lot of stigma in the black community, as you probably know, and in the Asian community.
There is, yeah.
Against disability, especially invisible disability like autism or learning disabilities. So, you know, it's given that sort of push for people to think, actually, you know, no, this child can't be cured because there's nothing wrong with them. They should be accepted and given different means of communication, which is what I focus on in Susie Spins, because she communicates by signing. She has a visual timetable so she can see what's happening during the day. So, yeah.
Are those some of the experiences that you went through yourself in terms of what you've just said, where the way that she communicates? Is you
Actually,
draw from
no.
your own? Okay.
No. But we work with so many nonverbal communicating children and adults and teens, you know, that I knew what to put in there.
Yes.
And to make it in a way where it's not, oh, poor Susie, if only she could speak.
Right.
You know, it's not that. It's, look, Susie's a really good little artist. She loves making stories up. She likes, you know, communicating that she wants to go for a walk by holding her hand out. It's not, you know, poor lonely little Susie in the corner.
It's basically flipping the conversation on its
Very
head,
much,
isn't it?
yeah.
Because what you're doing is saying, well, no, let's look at this in a different lens, in a different way to what, you know, society as a whole has often looked at it like. And I just want to bring, I know you've been sat very quietly listening away, Jenny, but I want to bring you in on this conversation as well, because we started the chat talking about, you know, these fantastic sensory gifts, these sensory toys, which are suitable for people with special educational needs, but also even if you don't have educational needs, these are things that actually everyone can enjoy. What has the response been like for you when people do receive, for example, right now, just for our listeners, I just want to kind of set the context. I've got your beautiful snowman or snow girl, and it's got a lilac scarf with snow them absolutely, and a snow, and it's got a beautiful beanie as well. It's a white snow them with a beautiful carrot nose, which I always love to do with my daughter. So kind of what is the experience been like for people when they get your
it's just nice
gifts?
To be able to put a smile on a face and to receive them, and a lot of them, I mean, it'll be the first we put them on the stall and we'll be selling them, and all proceeds will go towards AIM to put back into.
And was that important for you on a personal level to be able to support and, you know, to raise money for AIM?
Oh yeah, definitely. I mean, I've been AIM 5 years now. We met at a youth club, and we took up both our children there,
right?
And it just wasn't suitable for their needs.
Okay.
And that's how I got to know Emma, because Emma was already running the group there. And it's been a lifesaver for me and my daughter. So
has it kind of allowed you to have these open conversations, maybe also speak to others who are going through what you were going through or what your family is going through, which is, as you just said, if you go to a different kind of organisation, maybe people just won't get it. They won't be able to have those chats.
Yeah, and I think in other groups as well, sometimes you feel like you're looked at and stared at if your child is a bit different and you don't fit into what the groups and that. So
stay with me. I have so many questions to ask you both, so I want to continue if that's all right, and I want to give details as well. How can people find you on social media? What is the best way, Emma, for everyone to get in touch?
We are Autistic Inclusive Meets, so we're on Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, YouTube, TikTok. Everywhere. We are everywhere.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and our website is www.autistic-inclusive-meets.org.
Fantastic. I'll continue having a chat with Emma and Jenny. That's autistic-inclusive-meets.org. Let's get a traffic and travel now with Will Schindler.
The BBC Radio London travel and accident has closed the A24 Balham High Road between Flowersmead and Upper Tooting Park this afternoon. In Buckhurst Hill, an accident has been reported on Roding Lane at the Cricket and Lacrosse Club, which is causing delays there. Looking at the public transport network, there are currently severe delays on London Overground between Stratford and Richmond and between Stratford and Clapham Junction because of earlier signalling problems at Highbury and Islington. There are delays of up to 10 minutes on Thameslink, Gatwick Express and Southern between East Croydon and Gatwick Airport because of a track fault. And there are some cancellations for arrivals and departures at London City Airport this afternoon due to the foggy conditions earlier today. Passengers are advised to check their flight status before travelling. That's the BBC Radio London travel. More for you in half an hour.
BBC Radio London.
But as the first British Indian Prime Minister takes the helm over at Downing Street, I think it's safe to say that here at BBC Radio London we've got our first Geordie Egyptian presenter. I think it's fair to say that.
Our London and our lives.
Listen, at this mature age, I'm ready. I'm ready for change. I too could be a Prime Minister.
Yeah, I don't know, that's all for sure, isn't it? You know what I mean? Taking your clothes off and flying across the changing room when it's wet, so you're doing a slide.
No, because wouldn't that chafe? Your London and your life.
That is a long CV, Lisa. What stands out for you from those highlights? There's a lot.
Yeah, there's definitely a lot of highlights, and thank you, and it's great to be here at BBC Radio London.
BBC Radio London.
Good morning if you're just joining the programme. Lovely to have you here. Brand new breakfast show. We have been full pelt non-stop.
News, information and a place to talk.
Shay Core Godaval.
BBC Radio London.
Welcome along to the show. It's 4:33. I'm here with you until 6 o'clock. I'm having a lovely chat today. I'm joined in the studio by Emma Dalmayne, who is the Chief Executive Officer of Autistic Inclusive Meets. And also I'm joined by Jenny Payne, the Director of Autistic Inclusive Meets. You can go to the website. It is very simple. AutisticInclusiveMeets.org. They're on all social media as well. And they're a group made up of people on the autistic spectrum. They run events for people within the autistic community, and everyone is welcome to come along. And in fact, they've got their Christmas Craft Fair, which is taking place. So it's AIM Christmas Autistic Craft Fair. It's going to be on the 10th of December from 1 p.m. till 4 p.m. at the Woolwich Common Youth Club. And it's going to have autistic made art, clothing, books and jewellery. And as I say, go to the website for further details on this, AutisticInclusiveMeets.org. But why is this Christmas fair taking place? Tell me a little bit more, please, Emma, as to why it's all come about.
Okay, well, this is the 5th fair that we've done, and we often combine it with an autistic pride as well, where we have up to 10 autistic people, poets, campaigners, authors. Right. And the reason we actually started the fairs, I was walking down the road and it was the 1st of April, the dreaded Autism Awareness Month, where we're bombarded with ableism. It's honestly, I can't think of one autistic person that enjoys April. It's all, inspiration porn sort of post, and it's just, oh my God. And again, you get the big charities like the National Autistic Society and, those sorts that are raking in all these donations and actually not doing a lot for autistic adults. They're great for parents of autistic kids, but we don't exist. Not really.
So for you, the criticism, and it's important for me to say those charities aren't here to kind of give their perspective. Yeah, that's fine. But what for you, in terms of your experience, what you're saying is those charities may well help children, but not adults with autism. That's an element, adults, not autistic adults.
No. And that's the experience of many autistic adults that I know of.
Okay.
And the thing was, I thought, they're making all this money off of autistic people. Okay. Autistic people should be making money for themselves as well.
Right.
So we decided to do an autistic craft fair. So I think we had 15 autistic stall holders. They brought support if they needed it.
Yeah.
But the only requirement we have is that the person behind the stall is autistic and it's their stuff being sold. So if they need a parent or carer, or a friend to come and support them, or an assistance dog even, we've included that. And it's been so successful, and it's been so helpful.
What's the response been like from those people amazing. Who are, able to come and bring their crafts? What has it been like for them?
It's been a networking opportunity, because a lot of them follow each other on TikTok and Insta
on
and
socials,
things like that. And it's lovely to meet people face to face, because there's this misconception that if you're a non-verbal communicator, that you're locked in and you need all this support, and that you won't be able to get out there and actually have an opinion and make things and do things.
Okay.
And actually, when you meet people face to face, you may see actually, that they do need support, but here they are. So it's broken down a lot of misconceptions for parents of autistic children that have come along to the events and brought their children, and it's... We're not there to say, your child may be able to do this one day, but it's nice for them to see that there's a community waiting for their child, that we are out there and that we are
able to do everything, basically, able to do the arts, the crafts. But you know what I mean is, in terms of what you've just said, with the right support, able to, if you've got a particular skill and you want for people to enjoy it, you're able to do that with this crafts fair.
And that's where it should be.
Let me give the details again. So it's going to be AIM Christmas Autistic Craft Fair, 10th of December, 1 p.m. to 4 p.m. At the Woolwich Common Youth Club. Go to that website, AutisticInclusiveMeets.org. I know, and thank you, Emma, you were sharing your experience. Throughout the show, I've been talking extensively around Anti-Bullying Awareness Week. Today is Odd Socks Day. A lot of people wearing odd socks in school, whatever, just to kind of encourage individuality. And I just wanted final thoughts, if I could, from yourself, Jenny, because I know you're a mum, you're a parent, and one of the key conversations around bullying is often sometimes it tends to be just on the child. So what has that experience been like for you as a parent? How involved have you been speaking to your children around bullying, or is it an experience that you remember from your own childhood?
Well, when I was pretty lucky, lucky when I was a kid. We moved quite a bit, so I could, obviously I was late diagnosed as well, and I could reinvent myself. So every 2-3 years, if something didn't work at a particular school, I could learn. So I did. When I did experience bullying, I knew that in 2 years' time I'd be moving on again.
You wouldn't have to deal with it long term.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And how has it been for you as a parent navigating bullying within schools for your children?
I think I've been really lucky. Both Millie's Down syndrome autistic and my son's autistic, and they've had quite a positive experience.
That's actually a good thing to hear, isn't it? Because sometimes we don't get to hear those elements. We don't get to hear those sides when things have actually gone well. And whether that's, of course, a credit to the school, to your communication as a parent as well. And finally, Emma, people can touch base with the organisation if they've got questions, if they... Oh,
definitely, yeah.
That's part of the support network that you have at AIM, isn't it?
Yeah, and talking about bullying, a lot of the children and teens that attend our groups have been bullied and have been pulled out of school due to that, because there's just not enough support in schools and not enough understanding.
If you've got a parent tuning into Radio London right now, and that is one of their biggest fears, as you just say, is if their child has been bullied, they are autistic, and then actually rather than that support being there, they have to leave school. What would you want to say to that parent?
Well, I'm a home educating parent, and I didn't have a choice. My son was horrendously bullied. He's 15 now. I pulled him out when he was 5.
When he was 5.
And because he's verbal, it was assumed that he would be able to tell me if anything was wrong. Not true. Just because someone's verbal, it doesn't mean they can communicate everything. So my son was having horrible meltdowns on the way to school, on the way back, and the school would do that line that they always do when you say, something's wrong. Well, he's fine here. And it wasn't until he actually had visible, noticeable physical signs of being bullied that I actually realised what was happening, because I was dropping him off to school and picking him up. So in his mind, I must know what's happening because he knew what was happening. Right. So to any parents out there who do want, some support and any help, please do contact us, because we are autistic. We have been through it. We do have children ourselves. And we are there to help. Also, if you have any child or adult or teen who wants to see things from an autistic child's point of view, my daughter has a Facebook page, Instagram and YouTube. It's called My Autistic Sparkle, where she talks about autism from Black autistic child's point of view.
My Autistic Sparkle.
Yeah.
And would love to get her on the show and talk about that a little bit more.
Oh, she'd love
that. Because, isn't that fascinating to have that, as you say, perspective? And it's very rare we get to hear about it. So I know the team's already nodding outside. So we'll try and arrange that maybe in the coming weeks, and not when it's Autistic Awareness Month, as you've said. Let's do it on a general conversational basis.
That would be really nice.
So My Autistic Sparkle, and thank you for your words of wisdom there. And for anyone tuning into Radio London, head to that website. Again, if you would like further details, it's very simple. It is autistic-inclusive-meets.org, and the Christmas Fair is going to be taking place on the 10th of December. Jenny, Emma, pleasure having you on the show. Thank you so
very much
for coming in.
Thank you.